Kenny Thomas was an extremely underrated forward in his 11-year NBA career, with 3 seasons averaging at least 14 points and 7 rebounds per game. Thomas began his career in Houston, spent 3 seasons in Philadelphia, and his last 6 in Sacramento. He was the starting power forward on the last Kings playoff team in 05-06, before, of course, Fox and Sabonis' Kings ended that drought in 2022-23. Today, Kenny is a pre- and post-game analyst for the Sacramento Kings on NBC, an entrepreneur, the founder of the Kenny Thomas I-25 Showcase, and an avid follower of NBA Buzz, which is much appreciated. I'm Mike Magala, host of Inside Buzz, and I'm happy to have Kenny on episode 48 to talk about his career, the Kings' best season in 15 plus years, and what this Beam team has in store for the future, which is going to be a very bright one knowing the pieces they have on their team. So Kenny, welcome to episode 48 of Inside Buzz. It's a pleasure to have you, and I just wanted to thank you for all the support on social media.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you for reaching out, and it's a pleasure.
The 2022-23 Sacramento Kings. You know, when the season first began, NBA fans thought it would be another kind of Kings year. Not winning much. They incorporated the Light the Beam moniker, and fans are making fun of them. How many games are they going to use it? Are they going to use it at all? Because of their history of losing. Do you think Light the Beam kind of lit a fire under this team and the city to see the team in a different way and build a new culture?
Being a player back from 2005, 2010, I think it was a great experience when Kings basketball was still at on a high level, and we were all playing on a high note, right? But it's one of those things. It's like being part of NBC Sports now, and doing pregame, halftime, postgame show, working for the Kings. It's been nice because it seems like the Beam it brought life back. It brought excitement. That's the thing about it, because it was something else that carried over, and there was a lot of people making fun of it, and it was one of those things to where the city was backing it, because whenever the Kings won, obviously you could see this beam like it's a Batman signal, right? And being able to see it throughout the city. I live about maybe 10 minutes away from the arena, and it's been nice. It's been a great experience, and the fans and everybody's backing it, and you got hats and everything, man. There's all kinds of different things going around the Beam in Sacramento.
And this team led by, of course, all-stars Domantas Sabonis, De'Aaron Fox. Was there a certain time last year, maybe directly after the trade, maybe the beginning of this season, that between them it was clicking a little bit differently this year?
I think the team was clicking before All-Star break, and Mike Brown made a great comment. He said, hey, the season doesn't start really until after the All-Star break. This is when you determine your character and where you're trying to go and what you're trying to accomplish. And the way that they came out and finished the season was amazing. Nobody expected them to be a 3 seed, right? And being able to be a part of that, it was nice, because last time I played, we were in the playoffs, and it was like 16 years before they actually got 16, 17 years before the Kings got in the postseason, and I was a part of that. I think it was 2006, right? So being a part of that energy and that vibe and the way that the Kings were playing, I got to give I got to give mad respect to Mike Brown, because he's come in and he's totally changed the culture, and it's a matter of the team buying in.
And my next question was going to be about Brown, but I was doing some homework into some of your tweets and everything like that. You mentioned you've known Mike Brown since you're like 19 years old. Can you talk to the first time you met Mike and where that relationship developed?
Well, I met Mike Brown when I was in college. I think it was my sophomore or my junior year, one of those. And I went to a big man camp in Las Vegas, and Mike Brown was there. And he took to me. He was a great guy, always has been. And he was at the Wizards at the time, I think. And he gave me a pair of Wizard shorts. It was my first NBA shorts. I was like, okay, wow, this is amazing. And I just, he taught me a lot there, and I just listened. And it was my first time going to something like that. And I was a little nervous. But once I got there, I fit right in, and I was just playing my type of basketball.
And last week, the NBA draft happened. The Kings traded away their number 24 pick to Dallas, along with Rashawn Holmes, but they got that $17 million trade exception. That's pretty big. They also took Jordan Walsh, 38th, Jalen Slauson, 54th, What are your thoughts overall?
It's going to be interesting to see because I think you talk about the 17 million. I think the total, I think it cleared up like 30 million to where
Yeah.
they can go out and try and get some more quality players, right? Um, it's one of those things. I think they're trying to figure out what's going to happen with HB Harrison Barnes, as far as if he's going to resign. I think that's where they came in and tried to fill that spot and bring in another bigger guy at like that 6'7" spot. That's kind of like a wing player. But to be honest, I've been saying this and people have been thinking I'm crazy, but I feel like the Kings need a big man. Not that Sabonis is not a big man, but he's not a shot blocker. He's not that type of guy to where he can disrupt the paint and everything, but at the same time, he's got more out on the perimeter, making things happen, and he needs to work on his post up game a little bit more, right? Not that he's not efficient, but everybody can always get better. Not that he's a post up player per se, but I feel like that big man that can come in and probably play like 10, 15, 20 minutes to take the pressure off of Sabonis at the 5 spot. That's the key. And then he will not be able to get in foul trouble like he did, and then he'll be able to play more minutes and stay involved.
A center who actually outwardly said he wants to play in Sacramento, Dwight Howard, who's in Taiwan right now, still a veteran big, champion in 2020. What are your thoughts on that? Would he be that mold of what you mentioned?
It all comes down to, once again, it all comes down to if he's going to come in and buy into the system, of what his role is, and that role would be totally different than what he's used to doing. And I saw that, and I was like, okay, I wouldn't be opposed to it, but he's not necessarily going to be a starter. He's not necessarily going to play a lot of minutes, right? It's just a matter of him coming in and filling that void. What I was saying earlier: rebound, play defense, run the floor, do those intangible things that could help the team as a whole. Um, it's going to be interesting to see because they do have a lot of money, man. And Monty McNair, he's done a great job so far, and he got Executive of the Year last year. Mike Brown got Coach of the Year, so it's gonna be it's gonna be very, very interesting to see how the Kings end up this coming year because they can't be a playing team. They got to be a top 16, especially coming off the season they had being a third seed.
With Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets winning a championship this year, do you think teams will kind of make their team differently? These top, say, 5 teams in each conference, now they know they need a big man. You look at the Heat, Bam Adebayo, like you mentioned with Sabonis, the Heat didn't have that second body to take pressure off him and to guard Jokic. Do you think teams now will build around facing Nikola Jokic deep in the playoffs?
You can't really contain that guy. He's a big body. He's very skilled, very talented, but at the same time, he's not very athletic, right? I just had a conversation about him the other day. Like, how would he fit in back when I was playing? Because it was more bigs and it was more back to the basket and posting up. And the game is totally different because you see bigs out on the perimeter running the offense, and he's good at that. And he does a lot of different things. And he's a great passer. It's going to come down to where you can only have 5 guys on the floor trying to defend him, and you, to a certain extent, you're going to have to allow his guards or the people around him to beat you. But his teammates, man, they know their roles and they play those roles very well. And um, their head coach has put together a tremendous strategy, especially when it comes to being around Jokic, right? Because you got Gordon and you got Porter. Those guys play great ball, man.
And they're big, big, long bodies. So you already have to defend Jokic. Then you got Aaron Gordon slicing up in the paint. So you could see why they're champions. I mean, Bruce Brown, like you said, bought in. All these guys have to buy in to win a championship.
Yeah, but everything, it seemed like everything flowed through Joker first, as it should. And if he was on the block or if he was on the perimeter, it's kind of like the same thing with Sabonis. But Joker's a bigger body, and Joker, he plays defense, but he's not that big of a defender, right? He's more of an offensive presence, I think.
Do you think the Kings made the right decision picking De'Aaron Fox over Tyrese Haliburton?
I think the Sabonis trade was a bigger impact with rather than Tyrese being in Sacramento. Tyrese is a great player, but it's one of those things you couldn't. It was going to come down to one of them had to go to a certain extent, unless you're going to pay them both. And I like the fact that they got rid of Tyrese, and then you got Malik Monk, who's been playing great ball, and the connection with Fox. You that's something that's intangible that you really can't find. So I see that duel, even though Fox comes off the bench, but they end up playing a lot together, especially towards the end of the game. But I, to be honest, I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I was thinking more Tyrese than Fox. But Fox came on and he started balling out, so it ended up good for the Kings.
You know, that's a good point because De'Aaron Fox, when that conversation was happening, D Fox wasn't D Fox of this past year. He took a jump.
Exactly.
He took a jump this year.
I think it came down to more patience, right? And he's getting to spots and doing things that he knows he can do. That mid-range pull-up shot, he could get to that shot whenever he wants. And coming downhill, he's unstoppable. And I think it was a matter of putting all the pieces together with Mike Brown coming in, being that coach and saying, "Hey, De'Aaron Fox, this is your team. You need to take the load." And he did. And I feel like he's going to continue to do that. He is the highest paid on the team, even though they're talking about re-signing Sabonis right now for 4 years for like 120 something million or something like that. But he has to be that guy. But the way that the Kings are putting different pieces around him, Kevin Herter, Malik Monk, I feel like those young guys are about to come out and have a great. I mean, I think they're going to be pretty good, especially with them being as young as they are. It's just a matter of evolving.
And how about Keegan Murray? I mean, becoming a fan favorite, 22 years old, rookie, breaking the rookie record for most threes in a season. What's his potential? Is he an all-star like player in the future?
I would say this: the fact that Keegan came in and made the impact that he did right away in the building whenever he scores. The Scott Mokes, the announcer, says Keegan, and then everybody says Murray. I don't know if you've heard that on TV and all, but it's pretty loud in there and it's very consistent. And I think that started because Keegan lit a fire under the city as far as like that high draft pick that was needed to come in and make a splash. And it's only his first year. And he's so quiet and so reserved, you really don't see any emotion out of him at all, right? Because we had him on NBC up there with a couple of interviews. It was like pulling teeth to try and get him to smile, but he's a great kid. I think he has a tremendous future. I think it comes down to him being an all-star because he has all the tools and it's just a matter of him being more aggressive, which is what Mike Brown wanted him to do, which is attack the basket more. And I feel like he's going to come into it. He's just had a rookie year.
And how can I not jump into your career? 11 years, 3 seasons of 14-7. Your best season in Philadelphia, 14-10, 2003, 2004. The 2000s is considered, some of the best time in basketball history. What's it like being a double-double machine in that era? And tell me about facing all those crazy teams.
Man, my put it like this: my class '99 was unbelievable. Paul Pierce, you had it was unbelievable. Kevin Garnett, I think he was in my class, and I can keep going. But man, I was just trying to stay on the floor. Like coming from college, being the man and having the ball all the time was a tremendous change. And then you come to the NBA, you got to figure out how to stay on the floor. My mindset was rebound, play defense, run the floor, knock down open shots, and do what I do. So the fact that I was able to actually do that in Houston, Philly, and Sacramento, it was tremendous, right? But I only played eight 8 or 9 years out of my 11 years where it was consistent, and I was on the All-Star ballot maybe 6 or 7 years out of that, if not more. And I felt like I was on the rise, and I got a great contract, and I had a great career. I'm not talking down to that. Obviously, I wanted to like play in the league more and stay in there longer, but it wasn't in my deck of cards, right? As far as like what God was going to give me, that was being laid out. And being able to do some of the things that I did, it was amazing, man. I was able to play against some of the greats. I played against Michael Jordan when he was the owner player for the Wizards, and I played with some of the greats: Charles Barkley, Hakeem Olajuwon. Allen Iverson, Mike Bibby, Peja Stojakovic, Brad Miller, Sharif Abdul-Rahim, and then all these names we're talking about, all those guys to a certain extent have done something major in the NBA. And being associated with those guys, it was a tremendous opportunity, and I'm very blessed, man. And there is life after basketball. People ask me about the big three. I'm like, no. I enjoy my time. I enjoy my setting my own destiny, creating my own different things that I have going on business wise.
It's your own field after basketball. You can do whatever you want, turn the page, put it all behind you, but you're still talking basketball, so you're still in the game for a little bit, I guess you could say. Around that time, I got to mention all these teams. Kobe and Shaq's Lakers, Duncan Spurs, AI Sixers, which you were a part of, the '04 Pistons, Dirk's Mavs, your Kings, the Jailblazers, KG's Timberwolves. I mean, the list goes on and on with all those legends of that era of you that you played in. Now, is there a different star power from then to now in the league? And talk about the defense from then to now.
When it comes to star power, I feel like it's still the same. It's just a different league. Now, I think since Steph came in, the trend started from the standpoint of being able to score more. Back when I played, it was more of a defensive league. But there's a lot of coaches like Mike Brown that still carry the principles of hey, we need to get into guys. You need to play good defense. All the other stuff is gonna come. That's that old school principle, which is still good. But obviously, people want to see everybody shoot and get up and down. You have these bigs playing on the perimeter, like I said before, and they're not necessarily playing inside to where they can be dominant, like Jokic, because he does both. And he knows he's dominant inside because can't nobody stop him, right? To a certain extent. You got to double him, then it's going to open up other guys on his team to knock down shots. And those guys you got to knock down shots. If you're not, you're going to get pulled out. Um, it's all still there, but the game has totally changed to where it's just not the same anymore. I mean, these kids are making so much money, and like there's guys on the bench that are making 10 million and they're not even playing. You got to think about it. Like guys like Allen Iverson, like your number one or on each team was making like 20 to 25 million a year. And then after that, you got to get in where you fit him because salary cap was only like what 45, 50 million or something like that when I played. Now it's like 100 million. I'm like, obviously the league is going to continue to evolve, but I'm happy for these kids because they're able to get their money. But it's just a different game, different vibe right now.
And that creates a different mindset when everybody's making this much money. What do you think of people saying, who was it? I think it was Paul George on his podcast, saying only about 60% of guys really love the game of basketball. He said about 40%, maybe it was 30, are kind of just there to do a job. How do you feel about that?
I feel like that's still the same. It depends on your desire and your commitment and how far you want to go. Like mine, when I played, I wanted to be an all-star. I did not quite get there, but I was pretty close when I averaged a double-double. I was the shortest average of double-double, like there, right there with Tim Duncan, KG, and those guys. And I was like, okay, well, I'm about to get to the All-Star game because it's one of those things. Obviously, I wasn't going to get in with votes, but I could have got in the other way with reserves, but obviously that didn't happen. So these kids, it comes down to desire and how bad do you want it, and that's a thing that's instilled in you, and a lot of people don't have that, and they're just there. I did not want to just be there. I wanted to like really be there, and I wanted a third contract, but that wasn't the case.
You arrive in '99 to Houston. Charles Barkley at the end of his career. Hakeem, still Hakeem, but at the end of his career as well. What's it like being a big man? You're 20-ish years old. You arrive in practice and you match up with these two legends.
Man, the fact that I was around it, me and Steve Francis got drafted the same year, and we call each other Rook, and we still do to this day. It's short for rookie. Seeing Charles Barkley and Hakeem Olajuwon, it was surreal, man. Even some of the other guys that were on the team, Matt Bullard, like there's a lot of guys that were already in the league that I used to watch, right? And being able to be associated with them, man, I was just trying to get in where I fit in, right? I didn't know what was gonna happen. I didn't play like my first 40 something games, and then next thing you know, he throws me in there. And ever since then I was a starter for like 8 years, 8, 9 years or something like that. And that's where the whole all-star ballot and all that stuff came in, man. And it was just a tremendous experience. And it's just one of those things to where it doesn't seem real. I still have dreams about it sometimes, as far as like like being in the league or having an extra year of college and feel like I'm flying all over the place. But obviously, that's not the case when I wake up and I see all this gray hair. But it's all good.
That's incredible. And, Chuck, at the end of his career, 36 years old, still averaged 15 and 11. Only played 20 games, though. So, okay, on NBA on TNT, we see how disgruntled Chuck could be if he gets a prediction wrong. What was he like at the end of his career, battling injuries? Is there like a funny story you remember him just not even caring anymore?
Yeah. um, I wouldn't say that. Not even care. I wouldn't say from the standpoint of not caring anymore, because, like you said, he averaged 15 points that year, and he was a guy to where he would mess with the rookies. Like his bag would be like right next to him on the plane on the floor, and he would call me, and I'm like 2, 3 rows back, and be like, Kenny, come get my bag, hand it to me. I'm like, Chuck, it's right there. He's like, that's not the point. Give me my bag. Like things like that. I mean, I was a rookie, and the fact that Charles Barkley asked me, I mean, it was like, okay, he's punking me, but I'm a rookie, so I got to get up and go do that thing.
You got to do what you got to do, especially to a guy I'm sure you watched growing up through high school, through
Yeah.
college. So it is like surreal. Like Charles Barkley, that MVP in '93. What am I not going to get his bag?
Charles Barkley used to come to the pit where at the University of Mexico where I played, which is called the pit. They used to come and have a preseason game there. And I used to sneak in. We used to sneak in and see him practice and all that stuff. And I'm like, man, that's Charles Barkley. Like, I want to be like Charles. Um, I think that's where the number 4 came in. That's why I picked number 4 at UNM, because of Charles. And then here I am playing with him for 20, 25 games. And I've seen Charles in Vegas a couple times throughout those years, and he would always come up and give me shit anyway. So it's like, okay, what are you gonna do?
What's up, Rook? I'm sure all that coming through.
He wasn't bad, but he was cooler than after the fact.
It seemed like every year in Houston, stuff is happening. Steve Francis gets drafted, disgruntled, and now he wants to become a Houston Rocket. He kind of nudges his way there. What can you say about Steve Francis as a young player, his hops, and his potential?
But yeah, because Steve did not want to be in Vancouver. He did not want to be in Vancouver. He worked that to where he got traded to Houston, which was good. And um, I was mad at him a lot because he was never the one that was always having to do the extra work, because I went 22 and he was the top 2 pick. Like I had to do all the work, but it comes with the territory, man. And we, like, once again, we still talk. And he's doing some different things business wise and stuff in the community, just like myself. And he's trying to figure it out. And he's Steve Francis, man. He has a lot of different opportunities, and guys like myself, we got to grind it out a little bit more. If you go to his social media, Steve Francis or franchise, one of those. Yeah, we used to call him franchise, Stevie franchise. He's a big Reebok guy. He's doing some good things, man. We all go through some things, and we all, hopefully we live and we learn from what we've gone through. That's the key. I feel like even myself, there's some things that I could have done better, but man, we were so young when we came in at the age of 22, 23. Him coming out of Maryland, me coming out of New Mexico, and it comes down to, okay, he played a long career, I played 11 years. It's like, what do we do now? Now it's about branding and creating opportunities for ourselves, and using our name, and I think he's doing a good job of that.
And his running mate, who came in the league in '02, I believe, while you were still in Houston, Yao Ming. What was your first reaction to seeing him, 7'6", walk through the door, and you got to guard him?
Playing with him was amazing. It opened up the floor, but Yao Ming could shoot the ball. If you really remember that, and he was a post up guy, but he was a turn and face post up guy. He wasn't like a back you down like that type of guy. But when he got you in the paint like Shaq, there was no recovering. Yao Ming, he's huge. How many years did Yao Ming play? He didn't even play a lot.
'02 to 2011, and those last few years were very injury riddled.
Oh, that's why it seems like his career ended quicker, man. But he had this white guy that was his translator with glasses. He was pretty cool. Yeah, he used to go everywhere, obviously, with the when he first came in because of the language barrier.
Your time in Philly with Allen Iverson, does he get a bad rap as a teammate from what the media depicts of him?
Well, the media is gonna be the media. They can always turn something into something, right? AI, great person, great individual. I learned a lot from him. We hung out together. Still talk to him to this day every now and then. He's doing great. The fact that he had things set up for him for like right now is huge because you never know what's going to happen in the future. And the fact that he took care of himself as far as like doing certain things, and he's doing a lot of I don't know if he's investing, but he has a lot of different things going on as far as business. And he's AI, man. He's always doing something. He's that guy that can go overseas and make a killing, because I just saw a video of him like going to China or Tokyo or something like that, and all the welcoming and all that. He's always going to get that because he's AI. Whenever we would go on the road, it felt like we were a home team because all the fans were there because they were all Sixers fans. He's a rock star, man.
You said rock star, and that takes me to this. I had Speedy Claxton on, and he said it was like you were traveling with Michael Jackson when you were traveling with Allen Iverson.
Yeah.
The NBA equivalent. What do you think about that?
I could totally agree with it, but you can name some more names. You can put him up there with Michael Jordan. Like it was surreal. Like all the attention and the different things that were going on with him. It was priceless, man.
The foundation of being there in Sacramento for those winning years with Peja, with Weber, Bibby, all those guys. What's it like to be around then to now? And how does the fans take you in? Are they still showing you love?
I was actually in a Chris Webber trade. Chris went to Philly. I came to Sacramento, and they actually came to Sacramento, and we were supposed to play them. No, the Sacramento Kings came to Philly. The trade happened. I had to change jerseys in Philly a couple of days later, and I'm over here on the visiting bench. Then I come out and have a double double against them again, against my old team, and then here I am going on the road for the rest of the road trip with the Sacramento Kings, and it was amazing. Just being a part of the Sacramento Kings, who were always on TV. So I go from Allen Iverson always on TV to the Sacramento Kings being always on TV. The reception that I got in the Chris Webber trade was great. Corliss Williamson and Brian Skinner was also in that trade. We came in and we made an impact right away, the three of us in Sacramento. And the Kings, I mean, the organization and the community gave me a lot of love, and they still do. I live in Sacramento, and being a part of NBC Sports now and doing pregame, halftime, postgame show for the Kings, I still get a lot of love. It's actually feels really good being a part of it, because I've always thought like, hey, I can do that TV thing. I could do that TV stuff. And then next thing you know, 2 years ago, NBC reaches out to me, and here we are.
Tell me about Matt Barnes and your relationship with him when you were a player and now as a commentator alongside him. What's he really like, and what do you think of all his business ventures going for him right now?
And Matt's doing a lot of tremendous things. We split the 82 games, 41, 41, depending on what that's going to be. Obviously, Matt has his podcast. Sometimes we get out and golf and hang out and go to dinner and all that and get to know Matt a little bit more. But there was Matt played for the Sacramento Kings, as you know, and he's from Sacramento. And he's still doing a lot of different things in Sac. Um, but he's that guy to where his presence is very known, because of all the different things that he is doing business wise. And great guy to hang out with. It's been fun getting to know him a little bit more, because I wasn't around him because we actually got traded for each other. Um, I forget that trade situation, but yeah, I think it was the Houston trade or the Philly trade, one of the two. No, it was a Houston trade. It was a Houston trade.
I know you're an avid golfer. I see it all the time on Twitter and what you post on social media, always on the links. My question is, who's the best golfer who plays in the NBA?
I'm in Sacramento a lot, and I do some charity celebrity golf tournaments. There's a variety of people from 49ers to Raiders to just a lot of different guys, MLB guys. Um, Matt's pretty good. Um, Bobby Jackson, I would say, is really good. Um, Me right now, I'm probably like a 12 handicap, and I'm working on my game right now. Hopefully, I can stay in the eights, the 80s. Trying to break the sevens. We'll see what happens. My golf coach in New Mexico, he's like, Kenny, I can see you doing that, but man, you see that little white ball, man, you want to hit it hard. Um, because I'm so big, and then I don't realize it, and then it comes down to patience and tempo, right? Especially on the golf course, but yeah. Brad Miller is a pretty good golfer too.
All Sacramento guys, I love it. I read that Magic Johnson has had a huge influence on you and is your business mentor. When did that relationship develop, and what's the best advice that he's given you?
When it comes to Magic being my mentor, that started in 2010, 2011, my last year under contract. I went to Memphis for a couple months. That didn't work out. And next thing you know, I'm like, I'm done. Um, I didn't really want to go overseas. I did, but I didn't. Um, I didn't know if it was for me. I just didn't take advantage of that opportunity to go overseas after I was done. And Magic, obviously, the path and the platform that he has, obviously I want to follow in his footsteps to create my own destiny and create different opportunities with my brand. And we have the same business attorney. So that kind of opens up some more doors for me. And um, it's just been an honor being able to call him my mentor.
And Kenny, tell me about the Kenny Thomas I-25 Showcase and other charitable things you're doing in the community.
The I-25 tournament is a tournament that I just had for Memorial Day weekend in New Mexico. We had like 225, 250 teams, boys and girls, starting with the little kids all the way up to high school kids. It's an opportunity for kids to obviously play in a tournament. And the whole thing is for us to be able to get these kids an opportunity to get seen, not only with colleges in New Mexico, but I want to be able to bring colleges from outside of New Mexico. I do a couple of those in the summer. I'm looking at doing them in different areas of New Mexico and creating partnerships with cities and school districts in the area to where we all make money. I'm looking at doing the same thing in Houston and do the same thing in Sacramento. Once again, it's about branding and creating opportunities for myself. And the fact that we have access to teams, that I-25 tournament, we had like about 5 or 6 different states, all the way down to even Chihuahua, Mexico, Arkansas, Texas, Colorado, Idaho. And then what I'm gonna do is take some of these teams and bring them to Houston and to bring them to Sacramento. And hopefully local teams in those areas will want to be a part of the tournament. And then we can get other people to come in from different states.
Victor Wembanyama, will he live up to the hype?
Skinny, um, it's gonna be interesting to see. He's with a great organization. So that's gonna yield him a tremendous amount of experience and he's gonna have to take all that in. He's obviously gonna have to hit the weights. It's going to be interesting to see, but he's very skilled. And the NBA is way more physical. When I played, it was really physical, and it's one of those things to where him being a big man, is he going to play in the perimeter a lot because he doesn't have the strength. Um, it's gonna come down to his skill set, and he's young, but he's a guy that you have to draft, right? There's no way that they could not draft him because Popovich might have really got fired or lost his job. But that it's a great organization. I used to train down in San Antonio my last like 6, 7 years in the NBA to get ready for the season. I was down there for a couple months, so that's how I know about the organization a little bit more. And if I think he's in the right spot as far as developing as a player if Popovich stays.
And lastly, the Kings coming off 2 All-Stars and Sabonis and Fox, Coach of the Year, Executive of the Year, 48 and 34 finish next season. What's your prediction?
2 All-Stars. You got Keegan. You got Kevin Herter. They were there at the All-Star events. So the Kings had 4 All-Stars there. They just weren't in the All-Star game. Mike Brown, I feel like he's gonna back it up as far as I don't know if he's gonna get Player of the Year, but he's gonna back it up and get better as a coach because he's going to be there long term. And so is Monty. I think Monty just signed a new contract long term. The pieces that they're putting together is extraordinary because they're getting back on track to winning Kings basketball. And you have to be able to take care of home court. You take care of home court, you can be very successful. The Kings were better on the road than they were at home last year. So it's going to be nice to see how they can bring it all together, especially on the defensive end, because that's what it's going to take to be able to win a championship.
For Kenny Thomas, I'm Mikey Domagala. That was episode 48 of Inside Buzz. Be sure to follow Kenny on social media at Kenny Thomas NBA on Instagram and Twitter. Kenny, as always, I appreciate it. Thanks for following NBA Buzz, and I appreciate you coming on Inside Buzz.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. If you want me to come back, let me know, bro.